Welcome to IDology, the industrial design podcast. My name is Voytek, and here I pick the brains of industrial design experts. Confidential information linking to the general public. Intellectual property lawsuits. Beautiful designs that turn to dust as soon as someone mentions anything more specific than just their apparent beauty. Today, Rafal Piłat, the CEO of Mindsailors, together with Jakub Zarzyński, a computational designer at Mindsailors, joined me to discuss the potential dangers of using generative AI in physical product design work. Let's dive in. Okay, guys, let's get to it. The current AI wave is not the first wave and it's not the last one. What's so special about this current AI wave?
Well, I would start with accessibility in the first place, because I guess it's the first wave where AI reached so many people, especially thanks to ChatGPT, I guess. It was like the starting point. And engines like DALL-E for generating images, since I guess it's the most interesting one for people when they first start talking about AI. I don't know if there is something you would like to add about it.
Well, I've been following this for quite some time, I guess more than a year now. And until very recently, the results that you could get with generative tools was so-so, and it was not. It was certainly not something that blew our heads off, and now it has changed. I guess, let's say the first quarter of this year, we got new versions of those tools, and the results were astonishingly good. And I guess that's in terms both the new ChatGPT, starting with version 3.5 and so on, and with tools like Midjourney and New Stable Diffusion and new models, suddenly the generative technology became useful. And I guess that makes this wave exceptional in some ways. Certainly differing it from the previous generation tools that we had.
What's, I think, also sort of, I don't know, weird, but everyone's talking about this AI craze and new AI tools when it's a very narrow field of AI, the large language models and the generative field that everyone is talking about. AI has been around for a long time. It's been around in manufacturing and everything that could be optimized from large data sets.
Right.
But what we have now, like you said, the accessibility, first of all, we communicate with it in a different, more approachable way. And the other thing is that it generates effects that are sometimes for the masses even fun to play with. So that's like another level of this accessibility. What are those two main technologies based on, like the large language models and generative AI? Is this the same thing?
Large language models are the models that are trained on text, I guess, and it's an AI that you communicate with text prompt. So basically, the models are trained on anything that they read. They can be trained on specific material, or they can be trained on publicly accessible materials. So I guess that gives, let's say, the trainers opportunity to train those models on only very specific material in terms of usability, for instance, for certain. So I guess that gives the trainers opportunity to train those models on their specific material, and it would be tailored for their usability, for instance, for a specific company, or I don't know, medical training, or any other example that you can think of.
So you don't need to be a software developer, you don't need to code to communicate with the software, and the output that you get is also not code. So it's
Right. You can get an output, which is a code, but what is different from, I don't know, previous tools or traditional, let's say, tools is that you use your natural language to communicate. And that's basically what large language models are
Yes, and
at the principle, right?
right now this being sold as a software for people. So, like in terms of this accessibility we were talking about, it's much more easier, but it sparks a lot of controversies because currently it is not that much restricted by law on what you can train those AI models. Because we should also mention that they can be trained on images, and they can be taught how they interpret images by text. And I guess it's like the next important thing that we should talk about when it comes to the choice of a content that you feed to the AI languages and the problems that it arises.
well, when it comes to controversy, I think we should mention that a lot of those tools are open source, but they also feed on everything they can find on the internet, no matter if it's copyrighted or not, no matter if it's licensed or not, which is controversial in itself. And then people might feed it even illegal content, so
Right.
it can be used in very various ways. And being open source isn't always like an entirely good thing. But what are the most controversial like issues that you've heard about with AI, the current wave?
I guess that, I don't know, I'm sure that partially it's related to, well, the censorship. That's for one thing, because the commercial models that are available and offered by well-known companies, for instance, ChatGPT or any or Claude or Bing AI, are actually very restricted in terms of what you can ask them, because there are many topics which are, let's say, illegal to ask. You cannot ask, for instance, to, I don't know, to how to build a bomb or anything which might, let's say, pose
Violate the terms of service.
right, or be in some way illegal, or I don't know, let's say a gray scale, gray area of what you do with this information. So of course there are models which have no censorship, and obviously those are open source. And I'm sure that whoever wants to find the information will do it anyway, whether this is something publicly available or will require a slightly more time to get to. So I don't think it will stop people from getting to the information if they are persistent enough.
Do those controversies translate to product design? If the models are trained on different artists who have their own style, who have their own intellectual property, sort of, or even are copyrighted, they are trained on that intellectual property, and then designers can use those models trained on those other styles and content to generate their own or not their own designs. How do you guys see this?
I guess it's kind of a problem that those models are trained on other people's work, which is sadly unavoidable because you have to start somewhere. And I really understand all the concerns about it because I'm not sure if I would be that comfortable if some AI model would be trained on my work. But we had a chance, for example, to use Midjourney in our work. And I guess when you treat your work as responsibly as we do, we try to stay within the what you can do with others' work and what you cannot do. We've been using Midjourney basically for creating mood boards, for example. So it is not like we are generating ideas of other people's work, but it right now, when it's not so much specified by law what you can do and what you can't do, it's really up to people to put it to good use and use it within some unspoken or unwritten rules, not to steal other people's work. And I guess the ball is right now on our side to make to use it
responsibly.
yes, responsibly.
But you said you wouldn't be comfortable with some sort of AI tool being trained on your work. But what if you would have your own sort of AI tool that you would train on your work, but for your use only?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
something you can see using?
I think like for the past few months, what I've been doing, I was trying to study all those large language models and also Python coding so we can develop our own languages to do that. I wouldn't have a problem with training that on my work because it's whole other different concept because we are doing a tool to be used internally by us. So like I work for this company, I sell my style to some people. I mean, I use my style to develop new products. So I could as well use it for training the language models and other people's work from our company. So there's no problem with that. But I really understand the concerns of professional artists, for example, from illustrators who are worried about their work being stolen to train those commercial models like Midjourney because they really have no credit from that. They get no money from that, and people can easily replicate their style and not use it as responsibly as we try to do it in our work. So there are no strict connections to whatever the output is. It's just like inspiration for us.
Right.
There have been some lawsuits flying around when it comes to copyright and the sort of content that, for example, OpenAI uses, right?
Right. I guess the biggest one was the ongoing lawsuit, ChatGPT versus Reddit.
Reddit.
Yeah, because they Reddit actually sued OpenAI for I don't know, using their content, which is publicly available, to actually train the ChatGPT model on the content of the boards.
That's the key because those artists' works that you've mentioned, they're also publicly available, right?
Right.
But still copyrighted.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot copyright a style. I guess this is something, this discussion has been ongoing for some time now. And I guess I would say you can emulate a style. And to some degree, people have been doing this since art began, because obviously people are emulating existing styles. Of course, some of the, let's say, ingenious artists create their own style, but then the art style is, I don't know, copied by others, emulated, call it whatever you want, and you cannot copyright a style. And I guess there have been attempts to do that, but courts denied this. You can only copyright your work, and I guess well, we'll have to wait some time until this situation will be cleared. For what I know, the current state is that generated, that artwork generated with any kind of generative tools, well, this is at least in the US, the court stated that such artwork cannot be copyrighted, which means that if you use a tool like, I don't know, Midjourney, and you try to sell this, you can sell it. I don't know, make a print of this or any other, I don't know, use the artwork to create, I don't know, a print on your T-shirt or anything like this. but actually anyone can steal this artwork from you. Well, steal. Technically, he or she won't be doing this because you won't be able to copyright this artwork. So I guess this is the ongoing discussion because, on the other hand, people claim that even preparing a prompt or prompting the language model is actually putting your own knowledge and expertise to work, and this is also part of using the tool. So obviously there are voices which claim quite the opposite, that even using tools like generative tools generates a unique content specific to the input that you give to this machine. You cannot get the same result from well, the same prompt or image that you're prompting with. So I guess we'll have to wait for some time until the situation clears, or is, I don't know, maybe more I don't know, transparent to anyone. For now, this is still a gray area for in many cases.
So like, unless you specifically tell the tool to copy a specific style, I guess it won't be copying a specific style. So it's hard to say that some artist might be, in a way, robbed of their work.
I guess it comes to the ethics, because even if you do this, I don't know, even if you try to emulate an artist, create a picture, and then you, I don't know, try to sell it as a picture of I don't know, artwork
Just
made by this
a
artist,
T-shirt with it, or
right?
whatever.
And you claim that that was the original artist, not generated AI. This is unethical, and this is a clear-cut case for me that you cannot do this.
Yeah.
So, but if you're, I don't know, people are doing this. Like I said, people are emulating different art styles for
All the time.
all the time. Yeah, they are being inspired by existing artwork, but by the best artists, and they are doing this all the time. And does this actually endanger in any way the original artist? I'm not sure. So I guess not.
Probably their profit in a way, but does this in any way?
But does it really? I mean,
Well,
if you cannot afford buying original Van Gogh,
that's an extreme case, and
Yeah.
let's say about an illustrator that you could afford, that his print cost, for example, I don't know, $200, right?
Right.
And you can pay 50 for it. You could pay 200 also, because it's not millions of dollars, but
Right.
still you rid him of some profit.
But this is, I guess,
That's why it's controversial.
Yeah,
because it's easy to
obviously.
discuss to both cases. But yeah, let's not get into it, because
Right.
it's not something we can solve here.
Right.
So, do you think in your work in product design, there's a risk of a drop in unique designs or originality?
Well, I'm not really worried about dropping the originality, because that's something what has already started with Pinterest a few years ago. You can see something like, it is even named as the Pinterest style or trap. Yeah,
What's the Pinterest trap?
I guess if you go on Pinterest and try to search for certain designs of many different objects, whatever you like at the time, for example, and microphone, you can see like there is a certain style to that. Of course, the images you will see, they differ from each other, but there are some things that are so important for this Pinterest style that you won't find anywhere else. There is something, I guess it all started with like Apple-like design.
You mean like
even before, when maybe with brown design?
Yes, it is, but I'm talking like more about the internet era of
so you mean
design.
like that the Pinterest's algorithms choose images that have a specific sort of style to them?
Yes.
Yes, and people like put them on Pinterest willingly, I guess. There's it's basically a trend to create something like in the Pinterest style.
I just wanted to say that maybe it's not a style. It's it's a trend in product design. Maybe, yeah. I guess that's what it makes it standing out in terms of well, let's say maybe in 20 or 30 years, the next generations of people will judge our era in terms of style that products were manufactured. We look back in the 50s, and those products were designed in a specific way because the technology, the manufacturing technology existed, which could be used for making products which looked, let's say, in a particular way, right? And perhaps our era is, I don't know, is marked by this type of
Sort of
trends
like-
or style.
Like flipped, instead of manufacturing dictating the style, it will be generative AI dictating.
Right, right. I see this more like a trend rather than a style.
Yeah.
But of course, I agree with you to
Yeah, but-
some extent. This could be a trap, right?
Yes, because what I was trying to say is that we should first ask ourselves: is using platforms like Pinterest also cheating? Because whenever you get an output from a model like Midjourney, I'm using this particular example because I guess it's the most well-known one. Whenever you get an output from the Midjourney, it's not something you can use for the final product. Maybe if you're a designer who doesn't really know about technologies, it is something what you would present to your client, but that client would probably never come back to you because it is not something what is ready to be manufactured.
That's an important point, because it shines a bit light at I don't know if I can put it like that, but a danger of like lowering the bar of entry into creative industries, or lowering sort of the quality because of scale, how many people can so easily start claiming that they are designers. Like when DSLRs came in, suddenly everyone could be a photographer because everyone could afford a professional camera.
But could he really?
Of course they couldn't, but still it
Right.
it crushed an industry in a way.
So it's a question of actually, I don't know, using the tool by a specific person. You can give a hammer to a person and he can hurt himself, or he can, I don't know, he can carve out a sculpture of David with the same hammer. So obviously this depends on the sculpture, on who is operating the hammer. So I guess this is the same question. If you treat generative AI as a tool, it's a question of who is using the tool. Because if you give it to someone who has no expertise on graphic design, for instance, so this person will be limited only by this tool. He or she can only generate as much as the tool can output to him, and that's it. This will be, let's say, the ceiling for this person in terms of what he can present it with. And obviously, you can already hear voices of people saying that the internet is flooded with generated images, which have a very specific style in terms of, I don't know, photography or faces, which are well,
You can easily
the
recognize.
proximity of the similarities is very close. When you look long enough on those pictures, you can start identifying certain models which are being used, which are popular. So this is the limit, I guess, for those tools. And if a person is limited by, like I said, by their expertise or knowledge or the skill for using other tools, for instance, Photoshop, Illustrator, or any other tools, they won't be able to do much with this content because this is going to be the stop for them. And obviously, the entry level will be the entry bar will be lower for many people, but it's a question of who is actually a target audience for those artworks. If you have a budget of, let's say, $5, then you can sure buy a generated content if it will suit your needs. But if you want something tailored specifically for your needs, then you will have to hire someone who is actually an expert in this particular case.
How does this translate into product design? Do you guys use, and what sort of, maybe I should ask not do you guys, but what sort of AI tools do you guys use in your design work?
I guess we can obviously start with the chat GPT because it's helpful. It's like I don't want to say alternative to Google, but it's pretty much helpful whenever you are doing any research. Maybe not, it is not so important for the visual style of aspect, but apart from that, we've been using Midjourney and Stable Diffusion
Right.
for different projects. We spend a lot of time on using both softwares, so we pretty much know a lot of their limitations, and we've learned when in our design process we can use it, so it benefits us and it's not just a novelty or a gimmick. And I guess that's helpful. I pretty much liked when we did because usually when we do mood boards for our clients, we use all sorts of platforms, of course, for example, Pinterest. But it was pretty fun to put some Midjourney outputs among of all those inspirations. And you are a specialist when it comes to Stable Diffusion, so I guess you could say something more about this because it's really interesting what you can achieve with Stable Diffusion.
Yeah, so I already talked about it with Anita, but we're using Stable Diffusion in few cases. When we try to automate making sketches, for instance, that was very useful tool. We used raw screenshots from SolidWorks, just having the lines, the outlines of our object, and we wanted to generate sketches which were resembling naturally made handmade sketches.
Yeah.
And we had quite a number to prepare, and we wanted the style to be, let's say, matched across the different sketches. And this is where we used Stable Diffusion for, and it actually cut us a lot of time. And we basically didn't have to do this manually. We, I don't know, generated 20-30 sketches in about 10 minutes, and that was really something. And for other purposes, Stable Diffusion is great at reimagining a specific artwork. You can control it very well by adding various levels of control nets to the process. And you can, let's say, process a cartoon image into a realistic or photorealistic output. And we use it to transform our, let's say, semi-realistic renders of people or characters into photorealistic persons. And this is a great workflow which takes our work even a level or two up in terms of the quality or realism when it comes to people visible in the pictures.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing, that it's like another different field to find suiting workflows between different softwares.
Right.
So you can, we are far past the era when you are specialized in only using one software and that's it. what we've been working on for the past few months when the AI really started to shine is to try to develop different workflows between softwares, and that was quite an interesting journey for us to find those solutions on how to really use it to our advantage.
Yeah, it was a challenge because when we wanted to use a specific function, we had to turned out that we had to, I don't know, learn something new in Blender or learn a new software to I don't know, to create characters, for instance, that we used. So I guess this we benefited as a team because our knowledge has increased in terms of using various different tools. And given that we have AI as a tool as well, so this gives us, I don't know, a good head start, or I don't know, a good advantage over our competitors, which don't use those tools. And I guess that makes this challenge even funnier.
Yeah.
Outputting 20 or 30 sketches in 10 minutes, that's a high pace. Is it like referencing our topic? Is it cutting corners? Is it cheating? Or is it evolution of the art?
It's time saving.
Yes.
And in the end, it's also a money saving, because when it comes to, I don't know, making those sketches, we would have to decide who will do it in our team, or we would, I don't know, have to outsource those sketches if we didn't have enough manpower to handle this. And obviously, we can by automating certain tasks, we can do it and still have control over it. And this saves us time, gives us more time to do other things, or I don't know, gives us more free time, because obviously we can use this time to train on Python or anything else which we are currently doing. So it's a time saver, right?
And I would also say that not only a time saver, but it's really like your third hand sometimes, because when you're a designer and you like to use sketching for your work, you sometimes take, for example, an A3 blank A3 paper page, and you do all those sketches. Like you don't start with the photorealistic renders; you just do the basic like napkin sketches. So you do a lot of them in a small period of time, anyways. So we will end up with, like, for example, 3 A3 pages of your own sketches. But when you're doing them in the same time, you can put some ideas or some, I don't know, some of your sketches that you already did into the Stable Diffusion. And while you are doing your sketches, it can do even more. So it's like another worker in your bureau sitting by your side and just using something similar to your style. So it basically becomes a conversation like you do with ChatGPT,
Right.
but it's more on the visual style. So it helps to take a new perspective on your own work.
That's an interesting approach.
I really love remixing things in either Midjourney or Stable Diffusion. And as a result, I get to generate, I don't know, within an hour, I can generate about 60, 70 different images, output images, which I treat as an inspiration for my actual work. So this gives me a better starting point rather than, I don't know, browsing through Pinterest,
where
right.
everything looks more or less the same.
That's right. And sometimes I'm really surprised by the randomness I get from those images. Sometimes they are totally, I don't know, abstract, but sometimes they are pretty useful. And I guess they are indeed, they could indeed serve as an inspiration to generate an actual design from this artwork. So I use it as my private inspiration tool for finding a specific shape or exploring, doing exploration journey before I actually sit to design something.
Yes, because I think people are usually worried that the outcome from all those engines will be the end work. So basically, anyone can generate something that is a final product in few seconds, but it's not. It's basically just the beginning of the work.
Right.
Whenever you get those outputs, if you're a professional and you look at this, you know how much more steps, how far is it from a finished product. And when you dive deeper into whole AI wave, you as a designer, I would say you basically realize that it's something that can help you. It's not there to make your work obsolete or take you out from the market. But of course, you have to adapt to those things.
Right.
If you're still sticking to only doing sketches on paper, not using Photoshops or other things, you're basically not up to date with the technology, and you have to be.
I think that's a great summary for the whole conversation. If anyone is afraid or thinks that using some of those tools might be unethical or unfair, I think what you just said is the crucial point. You need to be up to date with technology, and you
Yeah.
need to use those ways. You need to use those tools in an ethical way, like you said, for your own inspiration, for kickstarting your creative brain. Never for final work, basically,
Yeah.
unless maybe you train it on your own design. Closing up, what do you say in your own words to anyone who is a product designer and says, I don't like AI, I think it's cheating?
Don't close your eyes and pretend that those tools don't exist, because your competitors will use them to their advantage. So
We're already using them.
they are already using them. Right.
Yeah.
So don't pretend that this doesn't exist. The evolution is ongoing. And I guess when you stop learning new things, I guess maybe it's time to change
Yeah.
your job and not pretend that this is, not try to enchant everyone that they are cheating.
Yeah, but one more thing I would say: if you're on the side of a barricade that is worried, or it sparks a bit of fear in you, like when you see how good looking could be the outputs, just try to read more about how those engines work. It's like the simple case of the less you know, the more you fear.
Right.
So whenever you start learning about it, you see how it can benefit you, and it's not really that scary if you know what you are working with. So, like, don't be scared to gain additional knowledge about the topic,
Right.
as you said.
That's great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Generative AI for product designers is a dangerous tool, but just like a hammer or a knife, you can either hurt yourself with it or build a house or make a great meal. So just, be careful with your tools. For more episodes of IDology, the Industrial Design Podcast, visit our YouTube channel, where we talk with experts about everything industrial design related.